Silken tofu can be cut into threads. What profound technique is used? In the famous Huayang dish, Wensi tofu, if one single cut is off. What cooking secrets are hidden in the simmered beef? Recorded in the ancient book, The Way of Eating?
It has a rich history, yes, it has origins.
What are the secrets of cooking rare delicacies, such as the hodgepodge and Buddha jumps over the wall? Why remove the savory taste? Let's go explore the gourmet food from ancient texts. Chinese culinary culture has a long history. Many ancient flavors have been passed down through written records. Chefs from different periods have brought these dishes from ancient texts to their tables. They either innovate or replicate, allowing classic flavors to be inherited. What kind of knife skills can cut a block of silken tofu into strands as fine as hair? You can hear the sound, but it's still intact underneath. What story is behind the Wensi tofu, a famous Huayang dish? How is a piece of beef cooked to transform into the simmered beef in the Way of Eating? It's just right for my taste. From folk stews to classic dishes on the table, what culinary mastery is hidden in Buddha jumps over the wall? I've never heard of someone say, remove the savory taste, we usually try to enhance it. Let's follow the ancient texts and discover the past and present of these flavors. Listening to the vocal music and enjoying brunch. People in Yangzhou live at their own leisurely pace.
Brunch in Yangzhou is delicate, focusing on texture and the quality
of ingredients. Located in central Jiangsu province, Yangzhou has been a prosperous land since ancient times. Convenient transportation and a booming economy have made it a center for scholars and merchants, while also promoting local culinary development. When it comes to the charm of a moonlight night, 2/3 of it comes from Yangzhou. In ancient times, Yangzhou was always a place of prosperity and charm in the writings of scholars. Its attraction comes not only from the beautiful scenery but also from its food. More than 400 years ago, during the Wanli period Ming Dynasty, the Yangzhou Prefecture Chronicles recorded Yangzhou food was described as elegantly crafted. So just how intricate is Yangzhou's cuisine? What is the essence of its refinement? The delicacy of Yangzhou cuisine originates from a piece of tofu. It seems the people of Yangzhou have an unbreakable bond with tofu. Most people begin their day with a dish of dried bean curd threads. The local dialect is Tangansi.
A simple ingredient requires complicated processing.
A piece of dried bean curd about 3 centimeters thick is first sliced horizontally into more than 20 layers. Then cut into evenly sized long strands. Blanch and drizzle with sesame oil. It is soft yet bouncy, with an aromatic oil flavor. In Yangzhou, culinary experts also showcase their skills with silken tofu. Yangzhou is a city for comfortable, leisurely living. But the knife skills of its chefs contrast sharply with this slow pace. Their movements are swift. Han Jian is a chef with exquisite knife skills, capable of cutting tofu into fine strips. Speaking of tofu, I have seen a Yangzhou tofu cuisine named Wensi tofu. I think this dish uses the knife technique to the fullest. Doesn't it?
Yes.
Is that the dish we are making today?
Today we're making an innovative version of Wensi tofu, using the suspended knife technique.
The suspended knife technique? It sounds mysterious.
Yes.
Wensi tofu is a classic Huaiyang dish. Its difficulty lies in cutting the delicate tofu into hair-thin strands. In the Qing dynasty, the famous scholar Liu Wei recorded in his records from the Tea Aroma studio that Wensi courtesy named Shifu was a poet who was good at making tofu soup and sweet porridge. The ones who still follow his method named the dish Wensi tofu. It is said that the monk Wensi once presented this dish to Emperor Qianlong, making it famous. Cutting silken tofu into strands is already challenging. So, how difficult can the suspended knife technique be? First, press it into shape. You can hear the sound, but it's still intact underneath.
Yes.
I understand you are actually using. Press the knife down, let the tip of the knife rest on the board. But the bottom part is lifted.
Yes, it's all about the angle.
Correct.
It should be between 15 and 18 degrees.
So the place where your knife touched is not actually separated.
No.
No, it's not. That's some fine strands. Though it's still holding the shape. It didn't become a mess or a blob. Now comes down to the crucial part.
Yes.
Once the tofu enters the water, it immediately takes the shape of a pom-pom. The tofu strands remain perfectly separated. The suspended knife technique looks difficult, yet I can't resist trying it myself. I'm really scared that it will break. But if you hold the knife too high,
It can't be separated.
yes, you won't get the strands.
Yes.
To prevent the knife from hitting the cutting board, I braced my wrist, and the tension caught up in a short time. It seems that without a few years of practice, it would be nearly impossible to cut the silken tofu into strands. If one single
Then
cut
it won't
is
hold its
off,
shape.
that can count as half a ball, right? Tofu, as one of the simplest ingredients, has distinct textural differences due to its preparation methods and water content. Tofu made with brine, also firm tofu. When the brine is added to soy milk, the protein molecules in the soy milk coagulate. Visually, this results in clumps of jellied curds. Brined tofu has a low water content and firm texture, suitable for multiple cooking methods. People of Yangzhou prefer dried bean curd threads made from pressed and dehydrated brined tofu. Now let's look at the silken tofu used in making tofu pom-pom, also called lactone tofu. Gluconolactone, an acid coagulant, forms a protein gel when it reacts with the soybean milk. This tofu has a higher water content, making it more delicate and tender, perfect for cold dishes or soups. The famous Qing dynasty food critic Yuan Mei once wrote in The Way of Eating, "Tofu, if made the right way, can surpass bird's nest." So how does the tofu pom-pom made by Han Jian achieve this flavor, and how does it compare to the rare and expensive ingredient?
Let's start with preparing the repeated soup. Yes.
What is that?
Tofu is made from soybeans, so it still carries a slight bean taste.
Bean
Yes,
taste.
we begin by soaking it in a basic chicken broth to remove the taste. Once it's removed, we use these ingredients to make the top soup.
There were two types.
Yes.
Chicken soup first, then we enrich it with the ingredients.
Yes, like ham, fried scallops, old duck, and chicken.
Yes.
These add more depth and richness to the flavor.
Yes.
They do.
The broth made with a hen is essential for removing the bean taste. Steam the tofu for 2 minutes and the tofu pom-pom is fully cooked. Next we get the chicken broth out and keep it for other uses. Replace it with the top soup. The hen and the male duck are the basic ingredients for the foundation taste. Dried scallops, matsutake mushrooms, dried tangerine peel, and white pepper are the perfect supporting ingredients. During the simmering process, the temperature must be controlled carefully to maintain a gentle simmer. After 30 minutes, we add the ham. Since the salt in the ham will prevent the bean taste from leaking out, it's added later in the process. After several hours of slow simmering, not only are the tastes fully released, but the soup turns a clear, bright shade of Longjing tea color. The refined art of cooking focuses on releasing and absorbing flavors as needed. With the top soup supporting the tofu pom-pom, even the most ordinary ingredient can be transformed into a dish worthy of a grand feast. It's hard to bring myself to take a bite because making it is such a complicated process.
Just a gentle touch, slowly savoring the tofu. You can feel the soup absorbed by the tofu. Sip it.
The tofu has been cooked in the top soup for so long that the savory flavor of the soup and supporting ingredients have been completely absorbed by it. So, you won't find the tofu too bland at all. The broth is clear and bright, and the tofu is as white as jade. Han Jian finds inspiration from ancient texts, allowing the humble tofu to shine brightly. Chef Bai Changji also has a deep fondness for tofu. He recreated the Governor Wang's Babao tofu recorded in The Way of Eating. And after many attempts, it became his signature dish. The tofu selected should be soft. Crush it with a knife. And strain out the soy pulp, leaving only silken tofu paste. Egg whites and starch are added, mixed well, and then fried in the pan. The babao ingredients follow closely behind. This dish requires precise timing, allowing the ingredients to blend without overcooking the tender tofu. Finally, ham is added to enhance the flavor. A spoonful of smooth tofu filled with fragrance. The words from ancient texts have been passed down for a long time. Recreating these delicious dishes from old records is no easy task for chefs. Besides having a deep culinary foundation, they must also understand the intentions of the ancients. Bai Changji, along with his friend Guaimin, recreated another delicacy from The Way of Eating. Are there any beef dishes in The Way of Eating?
Yes, there are quite a few, because it has a special meat list. It starts with simmered meat, which actually simmered beef, and the simmered beef is particularly delicate. Starting with the selection of ingredients.
Yes, so, which part of the beef are we using?
We call it pid brisket, which is actually boneless short beef rib.
Now, what method are we using to cook it today?
We're going to simmer it. Start with cold water.
Yes.
If we were cooking at home, we'd chop the meat.
Into chunks.
Yes, and then we'd blanch it. The shape isn't neat.
Not appealing.
Yes, after boiling. The meat is shaped, and then we cut it. It would look tempting, right? Yes.
Boil the meat with some scallions and ginger.
To remove the smell, right? Although Guaimin is a Chinese chef, he has studied abroad and worked with Western cuisine. Moreover, since he is younger than Bai Changji, the two have different opinions about recreating the simmered beef from The Way of Eating. On the basis of the traditional method, Gua adds ingredients, like carrots and onions. Bai is somewhat resistant to this, because these ingredients are not recorded in the classic texts. But Gua has a different perspective. He believes that the flavors recorded in ancient texts might not suit modern tastes. By introducing modern ingredients, he can tailor the dish to modern preferences, and only then will the dish have life.
Now, we're adding this, a kind of spice.
Is this chili powder?
No,
What is it?
Menascus.
This will give the meat a reddish color. Reddish color, right?
Not just that.
Yes.
It also enhances the flavor. This is made from natural Menascus, fermented with rice. It also has the added benefit of strengthening the spleen and aiding digestion.
So it provides nutrition.
Yes, it's similar to the clove we added earlier, in terms of its function.
Speaking of cloves, I think cloves aren't a common spice. In our everyday cooking, is it an ingredient often used in traditional recipes?
Yes, it's a very common seasoning.
The combination of cloves and Menascus has a long history and deep roots in Nanjing. Moreover, people from Nanjing particularly enjoy it.
Although there is some innovation in the flavor, Guaimin strictly adheres to the cooking techniques for the simmered beef from The Way of Eating. Simmering, stewing, braising, and poaching. While these cooking methods are quite similar, they have subtle differences. Stewing requires a lot of soup in the dish. Braising dishes generally go through frying first. Poach is understood as cooking with a lid on. The characteristic of simmering is to cook for the longest time over low heat until the ingredients become tender and the sauce thickens, which is ideal for cooking beef, a tough ingredient that's hard to cook through. The aroma is really something. This is the simmered beef. From the way of eating, right?
Yes.
I'll get the smallest piece. When picking it up, I feel like it should be very tender by now.
Yes, the tender, the better. How does it taste?
It's just right for my taste. I think, being from Wensi, I really like the taste of sweet and sour ribs, and this dish has a similar charm, but it also has that special fragrance of cloves.
Yes.
The simmered beef from ancient texts has become the delicious dish we see before us. Food is life. Throughout the long history, every era has left records about food. Some flavors never fade. Through the improvements and updates by successive generations, they have become the popular dishes we enjoy today.
Enjoy.
All right.
The person chatting with the customers is named Maowen Liang, having cooked home-style Fujian cuisine for decades. He has a unique interpretation of the dish, Buddha jumps over the wall.
To make a dish well, ensure the price is fair, and build your credibility.
Buddha jumps over the wall is the most famous Fujian dish. There are different theories about its cooking method and origin. Some say it originated from Shiwan soup, recorded in the Song Dynasty's records of pure marvels. The dish was made by stewing 10 ingredients, including seaweed, in a broth of chicken, lamb, and quail. Others believe that, according to China's famous dishes Fujian flavor, it was by chef Zheng Chuanfa from the Qing dynasty, when he sought advice from others and introduced it in his restaurant and to the world, passing it down to the present day. Although there are various opinions, from hodgepodge, stewed assorted meats, to 8 treasure clay pot, the rise of Buddha jumps over the wall originated from the folk wisdom of combining multiple ingredients into one pot. Even today, Fujian chefs continue to improve and innovate the dish. I thought the ingredients used in Buddha jumps over the wall should be some precious ingredients, but the chef asked me to meet him at the market. Let's go meet him first.
I come here 3 or 4 times a week, because some of the ingredients are brought in by local farmers.
Mr. Mao said that Buddha jumps over the wall was a very down-to-earth stew. The key to making it delicious lies in the technique of boiling the soup. As long as the soup is made well, any ingredient will taste good. So what ingredients will he choose to make such an important soup?
This one is 7 or 8 months old. You can tell it's old by pressing here. It feels tough here.
You mean here, the bone?
That's right.
Mr. Mao, I noticed that, although the chicken is older, its meat is quite compact. It's not plump. But to make soup, don't we need a bit more fat? Will this chicken be sufficient?
Yes, the longer the chicken has been raised, the more fragrant this soup will be.
So we're not looking for a fat chicken, but one that's been raised for a long time.
Yes.
Mr. Mao told me that the chicken's breastbone hardens as it ages, which helps him determine its age. Old hen and old duck are the standard ingredients for making soup base, but in addition to that, different cuts of pork are also needed. Are we there?
Yes, we need pork ribs for our soup.
Ribs,
Pork knuckles,
knuckles,
and some pork belly.
pork belly. Why do you need All these parts? Is this the recipe you've developed after many years of research?
No, it's passed down from my master.
Soup is essential to Fuzhou people's daily meals. This has driven the research of Fujian chefs on making great soup. So how does Mr. Mao make the soup base for the famous Buddha jumps over the wall using the most common chicken, duck, and pork? Stir-frying can remove excess moisture from the meat, making the soup more fragrant. The alcohol's aroma is coming out now. Mr. Mao said that Shaoxing aged wine and Fujian green red wine are both types of rice wine. But because green red wine is high in sugar, it becomes sour and astringent after long boiling. So to make Buddha jumps over the wall, Shaoxing wine is typically used. Add the pre-made pork bone stock, along with the inosinic acid, aspartic acid, and other amino acids from the chicken and duck meat, which together create a rich savory flavor. Mr. Mao, now we're adding the blanched pork ribs and knuckles, right?
That's right.
Why not add the pork belly now?
The pork belly will be used later to braise the abalone.
So, it's used to braise the abalone. Different cuts of pork have different uses. Mr. Mao told me that the original Buddha jumps over the wall was more like hodgepodge. Ordinary people mostly used meat ingredients. So, when making the soup, he deliberately added pork ribs and knuckles to allow the flavors of poultry and meat to merge. However, the big pot of boiling soup is just the beginning. Next, the ingredients and broth go into the jar to be stewed over charcoal. Finally, Mr. Mao pokes 2 air holes in the lotus leaf and covers the bowl to create a sealed space inside the jar, allowing the soup to infuse with the aroma of the lotus leaf. After a while, you'll notice that the edges of the lotus leaves are starting to drip water.
Yes, the steam inside is escaping.
If you listen closely, you can actually hear
The sound.
yes, the sound of slight
The
bubbling.
water bubbling.
Yes, it's gentle, it's not quite the same as boiling.
For a Fujian chef, the most important thing is the soup. The broth inside the jar will transform, extracting the essence of the ingredients. And that's our goal.
Mr. Mao told me that making soup best shows a Fujian chef's culinary skills. Grasping the right timing and being patient are the foundations of making great soup. The soup should always remain simmering gently, with slow cooking, dissolving the tough fibers of the ingredients. Protein collisions are minimized, forming a clear, transparent broth in the end. The soup in the jar needs to stew for 8 hours. Mr. Mao told me that the original Buddha jumps over the wall had more than 20 types of ingredients. But now, based on modern tastes, he has improved it by leaving only 7 or 8 well-known ingredients, such as shiitake mushrooms, dried scallops, sea cucumber, and abalone, which are richer flavored dried goods. But there's one ingredient that must be fresh. What could that be?
Hello?
He's delivering pigeon eggs. It turns out that the dish also requires pigeon eggs.
Yes. This is the only fresh ingredient, while the rest are all dried goods. Many Fuzhou banquets feature peace eggs.
The ingredient carries a good meaning.
Yes.
How do we judge whether the pigeon eggs are good?
Hold it in your hand and feel the weight. And when you shake them a little, it's sturdy.
The yolk stays intact.
Yes. His father started to supply us eggs, and it has been over 30 years now.
Mr. Mao told me that because the word for duck eggs sounds like safe voyage, locals also call them peace eggs. But duck eggs are too big and affect the appearance, so he chose small pigeon eggs instead, to express Fuzhou people's longing for peace and beauty. Although the ingredients have been reduced, Mr. Mao still has to find ways to balance the flavors of the various ingredients. Dried abalone is one of the most difficult ingredients to fit in.
Look, each piece has a hole in it. It was naturally air-dried by hanging on a string. Look at its color. It's transparent.
Drying abalone for storage is ancient wisdom practiced by coastal residents in China. Under the sunlight and sea breeze, the abalone gradually shrinks, releasing salt and some proteins, and forming a white frost on the surface. Dried abalone contains rich amino acids with an intense savory flavor, but Mr. Mao must suppress its strong presence.
Abalone's flavor is too overpowering. So when steaming, part of the taste must be removed.
I've never heard someone say remove the savory taste. We usually try to enhance it, or let the taste stack up. Why remove the savory taste?
Because the flavors of other ingredients might be overwhelmed by it. During the steaming process, abalone is steamed several times and the soup is replaced a couple of times to dilute its intense flavor.
The rehydrated dried abalone must be steamed at least twice to remove its overpowering savoriness. However, besides removing the taste of the abalone, Mr. Mao also stews it with pork belly and ham to balance the abalone's flavor with the meat aroma. Meanwhile, the improved Buddha jumps over the wall soup base is now ready. After 8 hours of slow simmering, the thick soup becomes clear and has a bright red sheen. Once cooled, it even bounces when dropped. The finished soup base must be put together with all the ingredients and steamed for an additional 20 minutes to complete the final fusion. Mr. Mao invited local foodies and cultural friends to taste his work.
In Fujian cuisine, soup is extremely important.
All the skill is in the soup.
Yes,
That's right.
the soup is the essence.
I think that whatever is added to this soup, even just some cabbage, would taste amazing. Right?
Yes.
Take the soup from the jar and pour it into bowls.
The temperature.
Yes,
just
it drops. That would be perfect. The taste and temperature are balanced. That affects the texture of the dish.
For Mr. Mao, it's not so much that he's improving Buddha jumps over the wall, but that this dish is changing him. Spending a lot of time thinking about how to make this ancient dish more accessible and bring it to people's everyday tables. That's his original goal and responsibility as a chef. Han Jian uses superb knife skills to cut silky tofu into strips, bringing the famous ancient dish Wensi tofu to life. Bai Chengji and Guaimin have devoted themselves to researching the techniques and ingredients in the way of eating, bringing the ba bao tofu and simmered beef from the ancient texts to the modern table. Mao Liaoing innovates based on traditions, using his understanding to further improve Buddha jumps over the wall, giving this ancient taste a new soul. The creators find the history of food in ancient texts, making them timeless. Out of the recording of a dish, an ingredient, or a method. In restoring ancient dishes, the chefs draw from the wisdom of the past, enriching today's diet with depth and meaning.